Hi friends, so how are you? I hope we are all fine, and today we have a new topic in this course, NPTEL course on employment communication, a lab based course. It is a very important topic and very interesting. It is called nonverbal communication. We have two lectures on this, and we begin with lecture number 6, nonverbal communication and introduction. So, what are the concepts which we will be covering in this duration of half an hour? Lecture 6 is the objectives. The lecture objectives of this lecture 6 is, first of all, a definition of nonverbal communication, then features and characteristics of nonverbal communication, which is cues and context, cues that is hints, and context that is the situation or the backdrop against which the communication occurs. Then we have number 3, functions or the roles of nonverbal communication. We then come to number 4, which is aspects or the types of nonverbal communication. We move further to gender and nonverbal communication, that is how masculine and feminine styles of communication vary on the scale of nonverbal communication. Next, we will cover diversity and nonverbal behavior. There are specific cultural patterns as far as nonverbal communication is concerned, and we will be covering that. We will be talking about technology and nonverbal communication, how the onslaught of the heavy presence of technology in communication also impacts us on the nonverbal front. We will be assessing our effectiveness as nonverbal communicator. In other words, what I mean is that we will be talking about a framework, a program by which we can become effective nonverbal communicators, and we will end the topic with a summary. This will be roughly in conclusion lecture number 7 of this course. So, let us come at the outset to the definition of nonverbal communication. It has been very simply defined as communicating without words. If you go back to the earlier lectures, maybe in the earlier part of this lecture series, where we spoke about the word verbal. The word verbal, the English word verbal, originates from the Latin verbum, which means words. Therefore, if you speak about non-words or without words, we are in fact talking about non-verbal communication. So, in other words, it is called communicating without words. Now, at the outset, I would also like to emphasize on the importance of non-verbal communication as such. It is imperative that we are able to understand and use non-verbal language. It is very essential for developing and maintaining healthy, productive and responsible relationships. In other words, what I am trying to say is that we have talked about the power of language, we have talked about the power of white spaces, we have talked about the power of black words, we have talked about the importance of verbal communication, but we cannot neglect the importance of nonverbal communication. And in the next few slides, you will be able to understand why and how. So, we move further and try to define and make clear to you the idea of nonverbal communication. It is the unspoken communication, unspoken because it is not having words which can be spoken or written. Nonverbal communication has been defined as the unspoken communication that goes on in each and every face-to-face interaction with another human being or other human beings as such, one to one or one to many. It is and it has been recognized as the way by which you can understand what the other side wants without them having to say it, to speak it, to spell it out. So, those who are good in nonverbal communication, will know a secret way into the heart, the soul, the mind of the other. And if we look at the psychological aspect of nonverbal communication in fact represents the innermost, the most instinctual form of communication. When I say the word instinctual, I will refer to the example of a small newborn baby. I am talking about a human baby. So, if you see that in a hospital scenario, suppose you go and you look into the cradle, you peer at the baby, you see that the baby will smile or smirk or show some expressions with his or her face, and this has not been taught to the baby. It has not been taught to him or her that this is called a smile and you smile when you are happy, and this is called a frown and this is called a smirk, so on and so forth. The idea is that it is instinctual, it is self learned, it is based on the innermost urges and instincts of human beings. We have here the quotation of Mehrabian, and he found that only 7% of a message value is that which is attached to words. Somebody who is listening, that is somebody who is the communicator or the communicatee in reverse order, receives the rest 93% through non-verbal means. On the same level, you have the researcher whose name is Birdwhistle, whose research suggested that spoken words, or let us say verbal communication through the spoken mode, accounts for not more than 30 to 35% of all the social interactions we engage in. So, it implies, in other words, that almost 65% of the social meaning of messages we send to others is communicated through the non-verbal modes or means. This is a small pie chart we have here, which conveys the information of the research and the research findings we have talked about, that verbal channel carries 35% of the message value in social interactions, and non-verbal channel carries 65% of the message value in the communication interaction. Now, what are the characteristics of non-verbal communication? We have a subtitle there to this slide, cues and context. As I said, cues, that is hints, suggestions, not complete as such, and by context we mean the backdrop or the situational background to the communication interaction. So, we have defined nonverbal communication as any message or response not expressed in words. In this scenario, the hints we are using, we will come to it in more detail when we come to aspects of nonverbal communication, or the response we give to the other, which is again not in words, is most important. So, cues and contexts, just remember it. We have another point to be mentioned here, mixed message. What happens is when there is a clash, between your words, that is verbal communication, and your actions, that is non-verbal communication, then you send a mixed message to the other. The other who gets a mixed message is confused, or in fact is puzzled by the contradictory nature of what you are trying to communicate. If we have agreed, based on the finding of research, we mentioned to researchers that non-verbal communication carries almost 65% of the message value, then it is our role and responsibility as if we are trying to be efficient communicators, that we should not send mixed messages. When we come to the functions of non-verbal communication, then we will develop more on mixed message. Now, we are going to talk about the functions of nonverbal communication. We have 5 functions of nonverbal communication. The first is message reinforcement or complementation. That is, whatever you are trying to communicate is made stronger or complemented. You understand the idea of complementary angles, say 45-45 complement each other, or 90-90 complement each other, or 180-180 complement each other, because they make a whole. So, for a message to become a whole, for a message to become complete, for a message to become 100%, nonverbal communication is the important part of it. Suppose you have 2 lovers and one says I love you and showers the face of the other with kisses. This is an example of message reinforcement or complementation. We have function number 2, that is message negation. Verbally you are saying something, but non-verbally you are doing, or your actions are otherwise. Suppose I say 1 1 1 and keep on showing this, then it is an example of message negation. The third function of nonverbal communication is message substitution. That is, instead of using a verbal message, you use a nonverbal component. So, suppose somebody asks you, how are you? And you say, so it is for okay or fine, and this is an example of message substitution. Instead of saying I am okay, I am fine, you just show like this, message substitution. The fourth function of nonverbal communication is message accentuation or intensification. We mean by this that your verbal message is made more intense, it is made more clear, its ramifications increase, its value multiplies when you are talking about the fourth function of nonverbal communication. And this might happen when you slow down during a speech. When you slow down during a speech, you are actually giving the message value more importance, in the sense that when you slow down your speech, the audience in fact understands or has the time to draw upon the message of what you have said before. Another example is, suppose you say that I am so angry I could tear my hair out. So, this is an example of message accentuation, isn't it? And then we come to message regulation. Message regulation in the sense of a conversation, and 2 people are conversing, one keeps on saying something and then the other one has to say also something, because it is a dialogue exchange going on, a conversation. So, in fact, message regulators are some actions of ours, for example, staring or prolonged gaze or eye contact, which signifies to the other that now it is my turn to speak, or for example, regular nodding of the head, that okay, I understand, okay, I understand, okay, I understand, now let me speak. So, these are some examples of message regulation, which is the fifth function of nonverbal communication. Moving now to the types of nonverbal communication. What are the various types of nonverbal communication? And we have 8 as such. The first one is called body language, or in communication it is called kinesics. The second, clothing and artifactual communication. The third, voice or paralanguage, or it is also called vocalics, VOCALICS. The fourth is space and distance or proxemics. the fifth is color, the sixth is time or chronemics, the seventh is touch or haptics, and the eighth and last is smell or olfactics. So, if you just make a study of these 8 functions of nonverbal communication, it is easy to remember that there are 5 of them which are ICS terms. The first is kinesics, that is coming from kinetic energy or energy due to movement. So, kinesics, that is nonverbal communication due to bodily movement. The second is proxemics, the third is chronemics, which is related to chronology or management of time. The fourth is haptics or touch, and the fifth is olfactics. Once you have remembered these 5 ICS terms, it is now easier for you to remember the rest of the 3, that is number 1 clothing and artifactual communication, number 2 as we said space and distance, number 2 is color, and number 3 is space and distance. Let us come to the aspects of nonverbal communication. The first one as such, kinesics. Kinesics has been defined as the study of human body in motion, or in common parlance in everyday speech it is called body language. We have 2 more lectures only on body language, because we understand and we know the importance of body language and nonverbal communication during the process of the employment communication, which we would like you to go in greater depth and detail for a good understanding of the importance and the role and the functionality of this subject. So, as I said, kinesics, that is coming from the word kinetic, that is energy or energy due to movement, and it consists of your face and therefore facial expressions. It consists of posture or the way in which you position yourself vis-a-vis the other. It consists of gesture, that is how you gesticulate, how you use your hands. Even if I have not mentioned posture and gesture in my slide here, the point is the most important part of kinesics is your face. Now, this is something which you cannot hide, isn't it? It is not like an ostrich, that the ostrich is afraid of something and so buries its head under the sand in the desert and thinks that it can not be afraid because it does not see. It is not like a child who is afraid of a horrifying scene on the movie and therefore covers the eyes. So, face and facial expressions are very important, the most important component of kinesics or the study of human body in motion. We have a term here, facial management techniques, and what we imply is that we all must use certain means to control the expressions we reveal to others. In the face as such, apart from smile, the next important is eyebrows and forehead, how we move the eyebrows and the forehead to communicate feelings, attitudes, emotions or meanings. Civil inattention is advisable because of what is called staring. A stare is a gaze or an eye contact for a protracted period of time, and it is considered bad behavior, it is considered ill behavior. Therefore, sometimes we need to practice civil inattention, which has been defined as the polite ignoring of others so as not to infringe on their personal space or personal privacy. The idea is that if you are going to keep on staring at somebody, the other will become a little bit disturbed, sometimes more disturbed, and it may lead to communication quarrels or fights or unsavory situations. So, we have this diagram here, and I want you to focus on the way in which this diagram is trying to tell you that the way in which the direction of your gaze or eye contact is would vary according to the nature of the item under consideration. If possible, I will go slow and give you some examples of what are the kind of statements, questions, situations which can make our gaze move in this kind of ways. First of all, let me tell you that Richard Bandler and John Grinder, I repeat once again, Richard Bandler and John Grinder, they are the two researchers who have worked on NLP, that is Neuro Linguistic Programming, and this is their finding which we have on this slide here, this diagram. What they say is that people look in one direction when they try to remember something, and in another direction when they want to invent something. So, on this side of the face, it is about memory, it is about remembering something, and on this side of the face or this side of the eye or the gaze points in this side, it is about when your mind is mentally remembering something. So, you are able to understand. So, you understand that the way in which we also look up, sideways or downwards with our eyes is understandable by the other, and the other, the communicator can understand whether you are inventing or remembering. So, there are some questions which will evoke visually remembered images, and these questions are: what color are the carpets in your car? What color are your mother's eyes? And number 3, what color is your teacher's hair? We move further and let us have 3 questions which are about visually invented images. Now, if such questions are asked you, then you will start thinking, inventing in your vision, what it would be. The response like, how would you look from my point of view? And then you will think about your point of view and you will invent, because your point of view is different from mine, we both are unique. Number 2, how would you look in purple and green hair? So, you start inventing, you start looking in this direction and thinking. And number 3, what would your home look like after it has been ravaged by fire? So, you would invent, isn't it? Then we have some questions that evoke auditorily remembered images. Auditory, that is related to audition or the sense of hearing. And these questions would be, can you hear your favorite music? And you start looking in this direction, and you invent whether are you able to hear your favorite music. Number 2, can you hear music you dislike? And number 3, what are the first 4 noises? What are the first 4 sounds? What are the first 4 notes? What are the first 4 notes of Beethoven's 5th Symphony? What are the first 4 notes of Beethoven's 5th Symphony? Then I will like to give you 3 questions which evoke auditorily invented images. We are talking about the questions that would evoke auditorily invented images, pictures. Number 1 is, how would your dog sound singing, Mary had a little lamb, isn't it? Suppose you ask this question, how would your dog sound if he sings, Mary had a little lamb? Then the idea is that you will be thinking of how the dog would be, you would be inventing in your mind, and your gaze would be in this direction, while you would be thinking that the dog would be thinking or singing the song. Then we come to the next topic. I would like you to look at this video.
Hello, friends. I'm your Vitamita Benjamin girl. Are you tired, run down, listless? Do you poop out at parties? Are you unpopular? The answer to all your problems is in this little bottle.
Now you pick up the bottle.
Oh.
A little higher. That's right.
The answer to all your problems is in this little bottle. Vitamita Benjamin. Vitamita Benjamin contains vitamins, meat, vegetables, and minerals. Yes, with Vitamita Benjamin, you can spoon your way to health. All you do is take a tablespoonful after every meal.
Now you take some.
Oh. It's so tasty, too. Just like candy.
No. Look, you're supposed to like the stuff. You've got to smile, be happy.
Yes,
now
sir.
try it again.
Yes, sir. It's so tasty, too. It's just like candy.
Nope, once more.
It's so tasty, too. It's just like candy.
That's going to be fine. You just go ahead.
Okay. So why don't you join the thousands of happy peppy people and get a great big bottle of Vitamita Benjamin tomorrow? That's Vitamita Benjamin.
Oh, this is easier. Yeah, we can handle this, okay?
Listen, Ethel, I think this... I think we're fighting a losing game. Here she comes.
Fine, you're doing splendidly. Speed it up a little!
Some fun in between this funda and lectures. The second aspect of nonverbal communication is clothing and artifacts. Artifacts are anything which you can wear on your body as such, any personal adornments. It does not refer only to jewels or jewelry. It refers to this visual, this vision assisting object, we can call it spectacles. It refers to any kind of hair bands, it refers to ear tops and so on and so forth, even your clothes. So, clothing and artifactual communication, clothing in fact being the most important. This is an integral part of the nonverbal package because man as a refined, civilized social human being always wear clothes. It includes the use of clothing, jewelry, makeup, cosmetics, hairstyles, the kind of hairstyles you have, and even beards, so on and so forth, because people are apt, it is bound to be that people will make inferences about you based on the way in which you dress. Then we come to the idea of voice or vocalics, or the way in which the voice comes to you, paralanguage. Paralanguage is vocal cues that accompany spoken language. For example, tusk, 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 shh, so on and so forth. Pitch is defined as the highness and lowness of the voice. Number 3, the third part of voice or vocalics is habitual pitch. That is, we have our high pitch and low pitch, but generally we have one characteristic pitch which we use. Volume is understood as degree of loudness, rate is the speaking speed. Then we come to non-fluencies. They are also called non-sequiturs, sequitors, that is meaningless sounds of phrases which disrupt the flow of speech. For example, and so on and so forth. And the last is of course a silence. Silence is lack of sound. Silence is absence of any kind of paralinguistic or verbal cue. I would like you to see this short video where through the silent actions of the character we are able to learn so much. We will see only a part of it.
You may open the envelopes containing your papers. The exam starts now.
So, we will stop there and move further to space and distance or proxemics and environmental factors. Proxemics has been defined as the study of the use of space, and it includes the treatment of space and territory, so that we are able to, one is able to influence interaction and help define the communication experience. We will make this clear by a reference to the 4 types of distances which exist between communicator and communicatee, or between the 2 parties of the communication process. This is the finding of Edward T. Hall, a communication researcher, who defines 4 different types of distances that we keep between ourselves and other people. The first is intimate distance, 0 to 18 inches, the distance between 2 wrestlers or 2 lovers. The second is personal space, that is, we say at arm's length, 18 inches to 4 feet. This is 18 inches, an arm's length. The third is a social distance, and we are talking about 4 feet to 12 feet. We maintain this distance with those with whom we have social relationships. And the fourth and last is public distance. It is the distance we have between ourselves and those in positions of public authority and power. Let us move further, and we are now talking about the kind of spaces which exist between communicators. We are talking about the way in which we can think about the permanence or the impermanence of physical space in which the communication is occurring. Researchers have divided environmental space into 3 types: first informal, second semi-fixed, and the last fixed feature. Now, informal space is highly mobile and can be quickly changed. It is, for example, light, chairs, tables, furniture, so on and so forth. Number 2, semi-fixed feature space is temporary partitions which are, or maybe heavy tables which are used to create distance or space, and fixed feature space contains relatively permanent objects, for example, the boundary wall between 2 houses or the use of some other permanent feature as such. We are now to the end of this lecture, number 6. Territoriality and personal space is an important concept in communication, because as human beings we like to say, we like to feel that this is my area, my space, my territory. We like to stake out space and territory as human beings, and it is because of our need, it is inbred in us, it is because of our need to demonstrate or to show that we are in possession, power, or we are the owners of this space or this territory. For that purpose we use markers. For example, in the library you may use your bag or your books to show that this space or this table is yours. Let us come to the references for this presentation. Lecture 6 is based on the following books and sources, and thank you for being with me. God bless you always.